extraction tool is packed with super intense action scenes. What were the most technically and physically challenging scenes to shoot, and why?
I can speak to the technical side, and he can talk about the physical. Technically, I would say the 21-minute, 7-second oneer, because there's so many moving parts, and there's so little room for error, because what you see is what the audience gets. Meaning, there's not a B camera where if the action's too long, or if you know the moment feels it's be too much, you can shorten it in post. You can't, or you can, but you got to go back and redo it all, which is a lot more expensive. So the pressure of such a thing is very high, and the technical necessities are extremely particular, because we got one camera capturing all this. We have sometimes hundreds of action performers on camera at the same time, and coordinating all of that stuff, working with every department, like hair, makeup, costumes, stunts, visual effects, special effects, locations. It all has to come together kind of perfectly for something like this to end up on screen in a way that's satisfying for audiences. Physically, was it challenging?
Absolutely. Incredibly exhausting. But the immersive quality that is a byproduct of actually doing a scene, not in front of a green screen, but for real, and learning 5,000 or 6,000 moves of choreography is, I think, there's no acting required from me as far as looking exhausted or looking, scared. I'm on top of a moving train at 50 miles an hour, and there's a helicopter flying backwards 20 feet in front of me. The most complicated, I would say, would be the prison yard sequence, and there's 400 extras in that shot, and not just myself, but every single stunt performer needs to be in sync. It's like a beautifully choreographed dance there, and if one person is out of line or doesn't work, then, as Sam said, you can't cut to a different angle. You got to start again. And the elation and celebration when we ticked off that sequence was as big as I've felt on a set. There was a big applause and uproar, and we got it onto the next. Yeah.
And what's behind the decision of using minimal CGI and doing actual real stunts for the movie?
I think and we've both worked in heavily influenced, integrated CGI special effect movies, and they're brilliant. I've loved working in the Marvel films. I do think, though, that audiences, there's a bit of fatigue around special effects, and there's a removal of the interaction from the audience and the experience you're seeing on scene due to the fact that you're aware that it is post-production, and whereas seeing something in camera, 95% of what you're seeing on screen was done on the day and captured in the moment. And no matter how good the technology is, I just don't think you can replicate that to the same extent as actually doing it for real. There's no acting required. Everyone's exhausted, not because of some fake sweat, because you are sweating. You are, it's huffing and puffing and screaming internally for the take to end out of exhaustion. But it gives a spontaneity and I think a truth that an audience connect with on a deeper level, and sets it aside from a lot of films in this space, I believe.
You've mentioned the oneer. I was wondering what was the craziest thing that both of you have to do while shooting the oneer?
I think it was the train sequence for me. I mean, he mentioned that the courtyard fight for the prison portion of that, which was very complicated, but I think just working with a bunch of people and fight stuff, there's a certain level of danger to that. But when you put actors on the top of speeding locomotives with helicopters, like when you're involving heavy machinery with people, the danger factor is multiplied greatly. So I think that was the most challenging and difficult thing, just making sure that everyone was safe and that we captured, because it's in camera and we're not faking it, it's not a helicopter on a blue screen. We're doing it for real. You have to make sure every element has been, checked and double checked for the safety measures, and to make sure that Chris is rehearsed and comfortable. And then, but still, he has to step up onto that train at 50 miles an hour and face down a helicopter 20 feet away. It still has to be done. So that also is challenging from a physical perspective.
What's a stunt that you haven't done yet and you would like to do if there is an Extraction 3 in the future?
You haven't thrown me out of a plane yet.
That's true. Well,
we
you heard it here,
could do
folks.
something like that. I have to
Go extreme heights.
build out my hours in the skydiving department.
Yep, we're gonna have
But
to.
we haven't done much sort of aerial stuff yet, have we?
We have not. That would be.
Hand-to-hand combat, a lot of
extremely
gunplay, trains. Let's throw me out of a plane.
Sounds like a plan.
I'll call Tom Cruise for some advice.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Whoa.